Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer. Great to have you joining us here on our global webcast. And what a very special day it is, as we are going to determine now our World Finals champion. And before we get underway with that, let's get down to the front of the grid with Giulio Rizzo and a very special guest.
Thank you, Greg. We are Mr. Winkelmann, President of Automobili Lamborghini. What a fantastic week here in Sebring.
Yeah, I just was here for the weekend. It's very competitive. We're happy to be here. We have 66 cars on the grid. Everybody wants to win, and for us, it's a big joy.
Thank you, Mr. Winkelmann.
A big field for that big joy, and it has been spectacular indeed. And today is final day of the event. Now, we've had the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday. We completed the season championships for the 2015 Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo Global Championships. The European Series now in its 7th year, the Asian Series in its 4th year, and the North American Series in its 3rd year. And each of them had their 11th and 12th rounds on Thursday and Friday. But yesterday we started racing for the World Finals after a reset, and that all starts from the pole. And let's get back down with an interview from Giulio Rizzo.
Yes, we are Damon Oakey, the most consistent driver so far in the M class. Damon, what do you expect from this race too?
Well, my team has given me a great car, and I hope to have a really good race. Had a disappointing last lap yesterday, but I think we'll have a really good race today.
Then good luck then.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good point. Damon really controlled yesterday's race beautifully, and then got tagged with about 3 corners to go in the last lap and ended up dropping back into 3rd. Still good points. And the way that this format works, you had the races yesterday. This race this morning that's going to kick things off is the 2nd race for the Huracán amateur drivers, Huracán Am and the Gallardo drivers. If you haven't joined us earlier in the weekend, 2 different cars run in this category. This is the last race now for the lovely and very potent Gallardo. 4-wheel drive, 570 horsepower, very quick car. But the new Huracán, which made its debut this year, is an even more amazing platform. 620 horsepower, 2-wheel drive, advanced aerodynamics, making immense grip, etc. And so what they've done is they've put the amateur drivers in the Huracans and the Gallardo drivers together in this race. The final race of the weekend, which will be coming up just a little bit later this morning, is for the Pro and Pro-Am drivers in the Huracán cars. They've combined those 2 groups. Yesterday's races were the first half, essentially, of determining our World Finals champion. If you won, you got 15 points, 2nd, 12, 3rd, 10. You get those same points again today, and then they're tallied up, and those with the highest points get the championships. And Damon, as I said, leading going into that last lap, and then was taken out, ended up with a 3rd as the car that got into him was penalized back a bit, and so he got useful points. However, frustration abounds for sure, as he could have had that win. He qualified on pole for that race yesterday. He's done it again today in the O'Gara Motorsports, orange-hued on the front of that car, kind of a psychedelic pattern, but it's orange. His brother, who won the U.S. Championship and qualified 2nd for this race, and he won the race yesterday, is Ryan Oakey. They come from Canada. They both drive for O'Gara Motorsport. And Ryan, of course, got max points at 15. So in the Huracán Am class, he's sort of the guy in the driver's seat, pardon the pun. Qualifying 3rd from the European Championship, the number 113 from Sportech Motorsports, Jürgen Krebs. Now, he was running well up into the front during the race yesterday, but ended up having a penalty for pit procedure. Normally that means shorted that 1-minute mandatory pit stop by just a little bit, and ended up with a penalty that dropped him down into 10th. So he's going to be a bit frustrated as the day unfolds. And just if you're just joining us, if it's a number that runs from 1 to 99, that means it's a U.S. Series team. They are the host. They get the low numbers. If it's a European team, it will be a 100 number. And if it's an Asian team, it will be a 200 number. So that's a quick way, as you're watching, to be able to see what series they normally run in. Qualifying in the 4th spot was Artline Team George's Mikhail Stefanov, and he ended up 7th in the European Championship, and qualified 4th. Krebs, by the way, 3rd in the European Championship. He's going to be a factor today for sure. Qualified 5th in the Huracán AM class. Was from Conrad Motorsports, Israeli driver Amir Krenzia. He was 9th in yesterday's race, qualifying 6th. The team that was 6th in the European Championship, the 2 Swiss drivers, Cedric Lemaire and Laurent Genie in the X-Bionic Racing number 163. They actually also had a pit penalty. They had finished up the order, qualified 2nd for that race yesterday, and they had to be penalized as well. Such is the importance of getting your timing right on that pit stop. Mandatory stop from 20 to 30 minutes into the race, the 50-minute timed event. You've got to make a stop in that 10-minute window, and you have to stay stationary for at least a minute. And you know what you do is they actually time it, and they've figured the delta out, how long it takes to drive down pit lane when you hit the pit lane speed limiter to when you release it, and then they add a minute to that, and you've got to be on that or above. And if you're under it, you get that penalty. So the driver who finished 2nd in the European Championship in the Huracán AM class, number 111 from Conrad Motorsport, Mark Ineken, he qualified 7th today, finished 6th yesterday. And the 8th qualified driver running in the Asian Championship, the number 207 from Donk Racing, Takeshi Kimura, and he ended up with a finish much farther back than he wanted yesterday, knowing his speed, able to qualify up into that top 8. And on the 9th overall starting spot, the driver on the pole in the Gallardo class. He was 5th in the U.S. Championship, only ran a partial season, but showed that he was capable and ended up with the win yesterday as well in max points for the Gallardo category. That's Josh Hurley from Asante Cordy Racing in the 76. The U.S. champ in the Gallardo category qualified 10th, 2nd in the Gallardo class for Mitchum Motorsports. That's Dylan Murcott. And he finished a disappointing 12th yesterday. The driver who qualified 3rd, also from the U.S. Championship, 4th in the U.S. Championship, a British driver racing for Change Racing in the number 24. He ended up 3rd, so good points for him. The driver who qualified 12th overall, 9th in the AM class, number 106, the Brit Steve Tandy racing for Imperiale Racing in the European Championship, was 2nd yesterday. Great story for Steve here this weekend, qualifying 10th in the Huracán AM class, 13th overall. The driver who was 4th in the U.S. Championship from Asante Cordy Racing, Ross Schuest. He is 8th yesterday. Qualifying 11th overall, or 11th in the Huracán AM class, 14th overall. The 2 Portuguese drivers, Eugenio and Sergio Montez for Veloso Motorsport, and they were 5th in the European Championship, but 14th yesterday. Qualifying 15th overall, 12th in the AM category, the number 206 of Omacha 9, who will start in Yusuke Hayashi for Direction Racing. They too had a disappointing finish yesterday. 16th overall, 4th in the Gallardo category. The driver who finished 2nd in the U.S. Championship, Brandon Godovic from Mitchum Motorsports. He was also 2nd yesterday, so good points there. Qualified 17th overall, 5th in Gallardo. The number 13 of Al Carter from Mitchum Motorsports had a disappointing finish yesterday, and in the U.S. Series, he ran a partial season. Qualified 18th overall, 6th in the Gallardo category, the number 174, and that is Ivan Benvenuti, the driver from Imperiale Racing in the European Series, where he finished 4th, and he was 4th in the race yesterday. Qualified 19th overall, 13th in the Huracán AM class. From the Asian Series, they're champions in the Huracán AM category. Starting driver will be Akira Mizutani. He'll turn over to Hashimi Noma, and they race for Direction Racing, and they were 5th yesterday in the first race for the World Finals. Starting in the 20th overall spot, 14th in the Huracán AM category, the number 277. The Dank Racing entry started by Masaru Suzuki. He'll turn over to Toshiyoshi Tajima, starting 21st overall. 15th in the AM category, Christoph Lenz was 8th in the European Championship for Sport Tech Motorsport. 7th in the Gallardo category, qualified 22nd overall, the 134 of Bonaldi Motorsports. Andres Josephson, who will start, he was 3rd in the European Series, and Ricardo Vera, they're joining together for this race weekend. Ricardo was 2nd in the European Championship. They were 7th yesterday. 8th in the Gallardo category, the number 144 of Neil Huggins and Paul Black for Top Cats. 9th in Gallardo, Mathieu Lecuyer and Brett David, who will start for Avid. And 10th in the Gallardo category from the Asian Series, and the champion in that series in Supachai Racing's Supachai Wiraborawanpong. And that is the story, as the field is coming up for the green. It has been declared a wet race, as is obvious. Heavy clouds in the area, although the rain right now very light, but we'll see what happens. Been declared wet. The Lamborghini pace car is in. 50 minutes to determine our World Finals champion for the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo Championship in the Huracán AM and Gallardo category. We're green. 50 minutes underway, and as you can see, folks, visibility is going to be a massive issue along with grip. down into the first turn. Damon Oki qualified from pole and slotting right into second. Up from third, Jürgen Krebs. And Jürgen knows he has a mission today if he has any hope of this, with a 10th yesterday after the penalty. So he's going to go up there and try and steal some points, but side by side behind him, trying the outside move. Boy, an aggressive move there too, the ex-Bionic entry of Cedric Leimer, and he made it pay. He swept right around the outside of the U.S. champ, number 89, Ryan Oki, who won yesterday. That was a great move, and again, Leimer and his co-driver Laurent Genie in that 163 were only 7th yesterday. They were, although very quick, and you can see right off the bat, the 113 at Krebs has to go defensive down into the hairpin. Here, turn 7 at Sebring International Raceway. And all of that side-by-side racing has allowed Damon Oki to just leave him right now. And this is important. Ryan Oki right now, as he won yesterday, that's that car right behind that black ex-Bionic entry with the green and black on it. That is your winner from yesterday, Ryan Oki, and right now he sits 4th. And remember, it's all about points. And Damon right now, just to keep track of it, with a 3rd yesterday, if he can win today, if it were to finish like this, and I'm not going to do that too much because that can get frustrating, but Ryan with a win and a 4th, there you have it. He needs, if Damon wins, Ryan needs to at least be 3rd or better. Then it comes down to fast laps. If it's a tie, let's not forget that Gallardo category, and the racing. We had the winner in the Gallardo category yesterday had a tremendous run up into the top 10 overall. We get a report, we have a car off at the outside of the tower turn. Critical corner, you got to get through that turn. Historic corner where the old airport water tower used to be. And it launches you into one of the long runs, many of them here. This is the longest, Ullman Straight. And when you're on these old concrete taxiways, the water pools a little bit. It's old concrete, it's got a little concave to it. It holds the water, and the spray just erupts off the cars. It's that crucial. And again, it was Josh Hurley on pole, but good battle here. That's Jake Rattenbury in the white number 24, who had a good run yesterday, to 3rd. And with him was the 174, another very quick driver, Ivan Benvenuti. But we are full course caution, full course yellow. And again, because of that car off over in that turn 13 area. Oh, and the car that's off is the car that qualified 4th. We get word now for Artline Team Georgia. That's the Russian driver Mikhail Stefanov. Qualified 4th, and everybody figured, although it didn't have the finish they wanted yesterday in that first race, was going to be a factor today. And so we are full course caution. Everything settles. So running in the Huracán Ammon overall right now, first is the 09 of Damon Oki, that orange nose car coming at us right here. Then the 113 of Jürgen Krebs. Then the 163 of Cedric Leimer. And both Krebs and Leimer need a huge finish here, and they need Oki, the Okies really, to have some serious issues to be able to get in this. We'll see how that plays out. Running 4th is Ryan Oki, the winner yesterday. Running 5th is Amir Krenzia in the Conrad Motorsport number 112. And that is your top 5 overall. And in Gallardo, and already, and this is not a huge surprise, up into the top 6 is your leader in the Gallardo category. That is Josh Hurley behind the Huracán AM drivers. And Hurley, that number 76, won it yesterday, leads it today in the Bassani Courtney racing machine. And Ivan Benvenuti is sitting in the 2nd spot right now, again in that number 174. That he runs for Imperiale Racing. He was 4th yesterday, just to keep track of that. Jake Rattenbury, that white number 24 that we were watching for a minute there for Change Racing, sits 3rd. And there is a look. That is your leader in Gallardo. That is Josh Hurley. And the reason that those cars have so quickly come up, one, good drivers, Josh Hurley, Dylan Murcott, Rattenbury, that group, very good drivers, but they're all-wheel drive. And in the wet, that can be a substantial advantage. They still have a pretty good horsepower deficit of 50 to the newer Huracán. And the Huracán has a little bit more effective aero on the car. I mean, you can just see the size of the wings on the back of these Huracáns. And huge scoops on the front that channels air out, that helps direct downforce, that massive wing, the little trim tabs on the front. And then the underbodies of these cars, rather sculptured. What it does is it channels the air out and accelerates it out through the diffusers And as that air speeds up going out of the diffusers, it creates a little low pressure area underneath the car that helps with grip as well. So pretty interesting here. And here's a look, this coming into our frame, there's Hurley, and that's your podium really in the Gallardo class now. The 76 of Hurley, and right behind him in second, the 174 of Ivan Benvenuti, and the number 24 of Jake Rattenbury. That are the top, those are the top three in the Gallardo right now. And even Benvenuti has the nickname El Pato, I've been told, which means the duck. As I've said before, it's probably a great story and ironic in these conditions. Don't know if that has any tie into him running so well here. We continue under caution. Had a report of a car that had spun at turn 17, but continued. And again, clock continues to tick away. We're now 6 minutes or thereabouts in, and at 20 minutes in, that mandatory pit window opens. Now, should there be a caution, a full course caution at that 20-minute mark, the pits stay closed, and essentially then that 10-minute window just shuffles back until another lap of green unfolds. So we'll be keeping track of that just a little bit. See, fourth right now in the Gallardo category, back in 11th overall is the number 46 from Mitchell Motorsports of Brandon Godovic, who is second in the U.S. Championship. And then completing the top 5 in Gallardo is the number 134. They are up from 7th in the qualifying order. That is the Bonaldi Motorsport duo started by Andres Josephson, who finished 3rd in the European Championship, teamed with Ricardo Vera, who finished 2nd. They didn't run together all season long, but both putting up some pretty decent results. They were 7th yesterday. So that's kind of what we're looking at. When you take a look at how things unfolded in that race yesterday for the Gallardos, as I said, Hurley won it. Jake Rattenbury was 3rd. And in the 2nd spot was Godovic. Godovic's back there a little bit. He needs to move up a little bit. And obviously, if one driver sweeps, it's a done deal. Nobody can touch that point total. But if one wins and gets 2nd in the next race, and another one was 2nd and then wins, you have that tie. Then they go to fast lap. So that's an important thing as well. Up front, as I said, Oki, who finished 3rd yesterday, after the penalty to the number 71 car. That had to start from the back yesterday and had to do so today. They had a little issue post-qualifying in tech. And Jim Norman, who started it yesterday, put in a brilliant drive, it must be said. Dr. Jim Norman, to get up into contention before he pitted, turned it over to Josh Norman, who's his son, who is the quicker of the two. Josh put in a storming drive to get up in contention, and then just maybe overstepped it a little bit, at least according to the officials. And he got into the back of Damon in turn 15 and turned Damon, and after getting the checker and winning, they added a time penalty to the 71 car and moved it back to 4th behind Damon, and it didn't help Damon, who went from a probable win at least to 2nd if the pass had happened clean, but certainly he had kept him behind for a few laps and moved him back out of a win and those max points back into 3rd. And again, have to keep track of what's going on with that number 71. There it is, and that car started dead last on the field again because the qualifying issues happened in both sessions. So again, Jim Norman fighting his way up through the pack. Difficult today because of the conditions. He got a little bit of help from a yellow yesterday. He's getting help again today, but the conditions in terms of visibility so much worse today. But at least for Dr. Jim, he learned yesterday that this track, where every possible passing opportunity was, and he's already put it to good use, has worked his way up from dead last on this sizable field of some 30 cars and has fought his way up right now into 17th overall, 11th in the Huracán AM class. And they did get a 4th place finish yesterday. And so did get some points, so they need to get back up in there to have an opportunity. And it's called Bad Lambo Racing. If you have an opportunity, we get a good close-up of the bodywork on that car, the graphics packages, and he's a doctor, Dr. Jim is, who's the team principal of Bad Lambo, and it's all about a message to take care of yourself and your blood, because what's in your blood, and he's got that's what he's got on the car, some of the bad stuff that can be in your blood. Obviously that can have a tremendous effect on your health, and he's on a bit of a mission to raise awareness of that, and on a bit of a mission today for sure. Again, top 5 cars right now, your Huracán AM drivers. The winner yesterday sits 4th, 3rd yesterday, leads it. Those are the Canadian brothers, Damon Oki leading it right now, and Ryan Oki. It's all about the points here and getting that put together. Now, Steve Tandy, who took second place points yesterday, sits in 8th right now in the Huracán Am, 12th overall, but he did the same thing yesterday. He started from 8th and ended up 2nd. And it's been an interesting story for the European teams and the Asian teams that don't run here. And the North American Championship doesn't have a lot of experience here, but some of the teams do and the drivers do, having run other events here at Sebring. That's a big, big leg up simply because this track is so bumpy and in so many spots, and the transitions from all these different types of pavement here. If you have experience with that from a driver's standpoint, you know that the bumps are better here. They're bad, but they're better here than they are over here. You know, you can actually change your line. You might actually vary from what would be the normal fastest line with the widest arc through the corner to carry as much speed. You might actually deviate from that a little bit at this track, because you know if you run that line, the bumps are horrible, and if you give up a little bit in the corner, you'll actually get out of the corner better because you'll be running over a less bumpy part of the track. You'll see them now heading into the hairpin. Sometimes it's a defensive move if somebody's behind you, but a lot of times even by themselves, they'll move over right as they get to the braking zone, going into the hairpin to mid-track, because there's a bit of a bump now that's formed. It's all part of the character of this wonderful track, and knowing that from a driver's standpoint is huge. And if you have, from a crew experience and engineering and setup experience of this track, that's a huge advantage, because it gives you the opportunity to come in with a setup that right off the bat is going to be that great compromise. That it's always the part of it, but it's so much more so here. Compliant enough to absorb the bumps, but not so soft that it bangs the car onto the bottom of the track, because that unloads everything, but not so stiff. So yes, you might be fast through those quick, smooth transitions, but once you get into the bumps here, you're just bouncing into the air, and if you get up too high, all the air spills out from under the car. You lose downforce. A lot for these engineers and drivers to work together on to get the setups. And one of the really neat things here this weekend that we've seen from the start of competition on Thursday for the season championship, final 2 rounds, Thursday and Friday, and now watching what's going on this weekend, is seeing these great teams from around the world, how quickly they have found the setups on these cars. Believe me, Thursday watching cars around here, and even Friday, cars going through these bumps, they were just bounding everywhere. And then watching in the races yesterday, much more tamed down as they perfected and worked on these setups. So it's been a lot of fun to watch that journey of discovery, if you will, and they've done a great job with it. We're coming up now on 13 minutes in, and again, 7 minutes is when we would be scheduled to have that pit window open up. And hopefully we'll be green by then, since we want to have these beautiful Huracans and Gallardos racing. And if you're just tuning in for the first time this weekend and wondering, where do they get the names, Huracán, Gallardo, and some of the other legendary names, well, Lamborghini names its cars after legendary Spanish fighting bulls. That's where those names derive from. There is yesterday's winner in the Huracán Am category and overall, but this is all down to the categories here. Canadian Ryan Oakey. There's his brother, Damon. And again, Ryan won the U.S. Championship on a lap in the U.S. Huracán Amateur class. I don't think there's any question that Damon is probably the fastest guy. However, certainly we have seen from his brother Ryan some remarkable racecraft. And Ryan has been able, as a result, to get the higher finishes and make it work. But Damon is quick, and he had driven brilliantly yesterday. Right at the start, slipped back, came right back, got to the front, and led the entire race until 3 corners from the end when he was tipped into that spin. So a good job for him. 3rd in the U.S. Championship this season to his brother. The Normans in the 71 finished 2nd, and certainly have some great pace. They had a couple issues mid-season that backed them up just a little bit, and that's where the difference really came down to with the finishes here. In the European Championship, in the AM category, the winner of that championship, Shota Abkazava, Georgia driver, has moved up and will be running in the Pro-Am category in the next race coming up here. Decided he won the championship in the AM class. He can move up, and he elected to do that. Mark Edeken, who is running in this race, was 2nd in the championship. Jürgen Krebs, as I said, was third, who right now sits in the second spot and showed great pace yesterday. And in the Asian Championship, interesting story there. Very strong runs by the team from in the Gallardo class anyway, from the European Championship, the number 188 from Imperiale Racing, Andrea Palma, and starting driver Karina Lima, who is a model as well, won the Gallardo Championship. And right now, they're well back in 9th in the Gallardo class right now. As it's time to go back to green. Lights are out on the pace car. So we are set to go back to racing. Looking forward to how that's going to play out on this restart. Once again, that visibility is going to be a huge issue for them to be dealing with. Ivan Benvenuti was 4th in the European Championship in the Gallardo category, who currently sits 2nd to Josh Hurley. And now onto the Ullman Straight that leads them down into turn 17, the final corner called Sunset Bend. An issue this weekend so much. It's generally late in the day. It's been a little bit cloudy, but if it is bright and sunny, and that sun is low, Sunset Bend is brutal on its approach. Not so much an issue there. Nice job there as the pace car getting away. And this field ready to get back to it. The Gallardos sitting back, as I said, in 6th, 7th, and 8th right now, the top three behind these glorious Huracans. Out of turn 17, pace car is in. And a green flag. That's going to be interesting. Damon came out, looked like he changed his line, which nothing wrong with that, but if he lifted a little bit, ooh, the 277 has gone around. That's Masaru Suzuki, but he gathered it up again. There's no problem with changing your line, but if he had lifted a little bit, you have to maintain speed until the pace car, or until the green flag waves. After the pace car exits, once the pace car drives away, you need to maintain that same speed and then accelerate when the green goes. It looked like Damon, I don't know exactly what the issue was, but wow, wasting no time. Jürgen Krebs in that green 113 jumped on it and shot around into the lead, and by the time they got down into turn 1, he had been demoted. Damon had back into 3rd by Cedric Leimer in that 163, the ex-Bionic car. That's now 2nd, so now Damon is 3rd, Ryan is 4th. And here's another look at the start. And you can see Damon had a much tighter line, but it almost looked like he had lifted. The issue is it looked to me like Krebs was around Damon before that green flew. So it all comes down to, if the officials say that Damon lifted, which changing your speed, then it would be on him. If they say that Damon maintained speed and Krebs jumped it, well, that would be the issue. So we'll wait to hear what the officials say on that one, but certainly a little bit of drama right off the go here. And now Cedric Leimer in the ex-Bionic car going to try and make a move for the lead on Krebs. Wow, tough place to do it into Bishop Bend. Very fast double apex left-hand sequence, and he got it done. So Cedric Leimer has taken that ex-Bionic car to the point. And we just got word from race control. The restart is under review. And as you can see, folks, shadows starting to appear from the cars on the track. We have some blue sky appearing. And they started on rains. That means if the line dries, these rains are designed for the coolness of a wet track, and the very soft rubber used in these rains, it can overheat. As we're watching a great attempt here, Damon Oki trying to drive around the outside of Krebs. Not able to get it done there. Now he's going to try the over-under. Comes up to the inside. Boy, this is going to be a phenomenal run. Nope, Krebs had it covered. But up front, boy, Cedric Leimer, Swiss driver, is opened it up to 2.2 seconds already. And a lot of it is the side-by-side racing that we've seen Krebs and Oki do. And Ryan Oki sitting still right there in 4th. Behind him, the 112 of Amir Krenzia, the Israeli driver. Let's take another look at that start. Now watch it here, right there. He tucks down. It looked like he may have lifted, and Krebs just stayed on his normal line and pinned it. And I think the green was out. I think Krebs, I don't think there's going to be an issue for Krebs. I think he was okay. Whoop, full course caution. Right as we were thinking we'd be getting into that pit window, but a full course caution came out, and immediately race control said pit's closed, pit's closed. So that pit window now, we'll have to wait until we go back to green to open for the mandatory pit stops, which can of course have a bit of effect on the strategy if you are a two-driver team and you started your less experienced driver. Of course, everybody is at the same pace under caution, I understand that, but you still have to go back to green on the restart and get at least a lap of green in before those pits will be open. And you may have wanted more time with your fast driver in the car to move up just a little bit. So, boy, another early caution. Have not heard the reason for this caution yet, folks. We'll listen to race control and see if we can figure that one out for you. I would suspect on that restart lap somebody had a spin and might just have gotten stuck. We have had rain here. Fortunately, most of it has happened in the evenings, but it does mean that, oh, we're going back to green just that fast. So whatever happened cleared itself quickly. And they have just called to this car, the 163 of Cedric Leimer, and said, back it down. You know what pace car speed is. And they all know that. They make a note of what gear to run and what rev to run, and that would be the pace car speed. And they have told them, back it down to that because we're going green this time. I don't know that he's heard it yet because he's moving along still at a pretty good pace. Wow, he's more than on a good pace. He's gassing it, period. So the pits are closed. We have to now complete a lap of caution, or a lap of green after a full course caution. You got to complete a full lap of green before the pits open. And looking up, the green flag is back out. We are back to green, but boy, Cedric Leimer went for it, and the guys behind him, they just did not follow. I mean, I understood they may have heard on the radio pace car speed, but if the guy up front, oh, big move there. Ryan Oakey dove to the inside of Jurgen Krebs, that bright green car, as Krebs got passed on the restart by Oakey. Remember, he had slipped back. That's Damon, and the orange car had slipped back, but now he goes wide. That may have been actually trying to look for a little bit of more grip on the rain line. You can see the patches in the concrete, and sometimes in the wet you get off of those and find more grip where there's not rubber down embedded into the track, which is great when you've got a slick, but when it is wet, it becomes very, very greasy. But nobody going one with Leimer, and Damon taking advantage and getting around that green number 113 of Krebs, and then Ryan Oakey, aggressive move down into turn one and taking that third spot away. Huge implications if things finish like this, because that puts Ryan up into third after the win yesterday, Damon third yesterday, and might win today. That would be a tie in points, so puts him in position. We're getting reports of a car off on the left side of the track down in turn 7. That is the hairpin, but there's a lot of runoff down in that area. So if he's not that close to the track, we might be okay. Full course caution, pits are closed. It happens again, right as you're spooling up for a strategy move here. The pits are closed and the back to a full course caution. So apparently that car over in turn 7, not far enough off the edge of the track to safely allow this to continue. But look at here, it's turn 15. Look at that light bit of pavement by the apex where the cars are running. This track is starting to dry out in the corners, especially where of course there's load on the car and the tires run a little bit warmer and evaporates the moisture off the track a little bit quicker. So the pits are closed once again. And just having a look here at what we've seen for a best lap during the course of this race. A 2:19.6 for Cedric Leimer. I'm trying to see if anybody's turned a better lap than that. Not that I can see, so that would be fast lap, but that's when it goes to tiebreakers. So for Damon Oakey, a 2:19.82. For Ryan Oakey, a 2:22.4. And I'm fairly sure that Damon got the fastest lap yesterday, so that might be the decider. It comes to that tiebreaker if you end up tied in points. Oh, this has got some interesting machinations to it, doesn't it? On that restart, And we've been trying to figure out what car it is. I think one of the cars that may have had that spin might have been, yet your leader in Gallardo, Josh Hurley, who won yesterday, he comes through now. He is shown as, making sure here, but last time through he was 10th in the Gallardo class, 24th overall, and Jake Rattenbury now is in the lead, running 5th overall. And Jake was 3rd in yesterday's race, and now leading in this one. 2nd right now is Ivan Benvenuti. And Ivan was 4th in yesterday's race, now sitting 2nd, back in 7th overall. And again, boy, I'll tell you, Steve Tandy has just been an amazing story here. As I said yesterday, he started in the 8th spot in the Gallardo category and augured his way up to a 2nd place finish. And today, he once again started back in the order a little bit, did Tandy? Well, that's actually, I'm sorry, that is an AM car. Got the things cross-wired here a little bit. 3rd in Gallardo right now is Brandon Godovic, but still Tandy has moved up from his qualifying spot, doing what he did yesterday in the AM class. So that's interesting. But Godovic in the number 46 is 3rd right now in Gallardo. Neil Huggins, and that's a good story. Neil coming up from well back. He qualified 8th in the Gallardo class, and he is now in that car. The starting driver was indeed Neil, as I thought, and he's worked his way up to 4th in Gallardo. 5th in Gallardo is the car that started 7th of Andres Josephson for Bonaldi. And another car that I see absent here is Damon Oki, the 09. He's now shown back in 14th in class, 23rd overall. And scoring has just cycled and had some changes on it, so I have to presume while we were looking at one of the other battles that Damon had a moment, or either he pitted, didn't get the message that the pits were closed, or maybe had some issue. But that has monstrous, obviously, implications on this championship, because right now, Ryan Oki, who won yesterday, sits 2nd. And so, boy, for Josh Hurley, what a shame after that amazing win yesterday to now have an issue and be well down the order. And Jake Rattenbury, who was 3rd yesterday, might just find himself in position here, because Godovic, who was 2nd yesterday, is 3rd. Yeah, so Jake with a win and a 3rd over Godovic with a 2nd and a 3rd. Again, if it finished like it is, and there's lots, as we have seen, plenty of racing yet to go. And we still have to get through those pit stops, but there's Rattenbury, who had a great restart when Hurley apparently had some issues. We are coming up on 28.5 minutes in, or 21.5 minutes yet to go, and continue under full course caution. It's going to be interesting here what happens if we keep getting this cycle of cautions, which we sure hope doesn't happen, because these cars and these drivers are glorious to watch in full race speed trim. But what happens if we get to within 10 minutes of the end of the race and we've had cautions every time they want to open the pits up? I'm not sure that's a scenario that we've faced before here in this now, the 3rd year of World Finals. Although the series have been around, as I said, the Euro Series has been around now in its 7th year, Asian Series in its 4th year, US in its 3rd year. This is only the 3rd year of the World Finals concept, where they bring them all together and then run off. You have a runoff, essentially, a 2-race runoff to determine the champions. First year, 2013, was held at Vallelunga, a track outside of Rome, Italy, where a young American named Andrew Palmer, who was then running for the Global Motorsports Group team of James Safronis, joined during the season and immediately showed everybody that he was for real, and had a very good run in the U.S. Championship, and ended up going to the World Finals and won it. And then in 2014, it was held at Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. And that's, I'm talking about the pro category, other champions as well, but in the pro category it was Andrew Palmer. And last year in the pro category, it ended up being won by Eduardo Piscopo, who we'll see racing in the next race coming up this afternoon, teamed with this year's U.S. champion, Richard Antonucci. Just keeping track here. Yeah, Damon Oakey shown 14th right now and down a couple of laps. So honestly, folks, did not see what happened there, but both he and Hurley. So I've got to believe, well, we were looking at another incident or some racing back in the pack that Damon either had an issue on the track, a spin or something, or pitted for some reason. But it doesn't change the fact of the focus up front. And again, for Cedric Leimer, who was waiting to pit and turn over to Laurent Genie, was 7th yesterday. Had actually finished on the track much higher up, but had a problem with their pit sequence, and that's called a pit procedure. Usually means they were short on that mandatory pit stop time, and there was a penalty added. They ended up 7th, but they had started the race 2nd yesterday and had been players right near the front. So even though they may not, with Ryan Oakey right behind them, may not have a realistic shot at becoming World Finals champion in the Huracán AM class, I think they're maybe out to make the point that had we not had that issue, we would have been in play. Same story for Krebs. Again, he finished 10th yesterday. He finished much higher up on track, but also a pit procedure issue. And of course, the guy who's benefiting here a little bit is Jim Norman, who now has fought his way in that number 71 Battle Lambo car from the U.S. Series up into 8th overall and 6th in the Huracán AM class, even with their penalty for the contact in that last lap that race control said they initiated, and so received a penalty. Still at a 4th, but Oakey right now in the AM class certainly looks to be the guy. And with my somewhat convoluted math, it looks like to me Rattenbury, with a 3rd yesterday and a win today, would be basically 25 points. Looking at even Benvenuti, who was a 4th yesterday. So if he gets 2nd today, that's 12 and 8, it's 20 points, so that's not going to do it. And the other guy would be Brandon Godovic. Brandon finished 2nd yesterday, 12, but he sits 3rd today. So that also would be 22 points. So Jake Rattenbury might just be the guy. And you can see Jake 5th overall. The first 4 cars, all Huracans, and a good job by Amir Krenzia. That car just going out of your frame there. The number 112, the Israeli driver, running so quickly here in this race. And from the European Championship for Conrad Motorsport, well, right behind him, that white car. You can see how different that white car looks from the others. That's the Gallardo. A little bit more angular in the general body work. And as you look at these Huracans, the front grill inlet is quite rectangular with just a couple of triangles on either side, but the main grill opening is very rectangular. And as you take a look here, that Bionic car right up where it says X Bionic, huge air scoops right up by the windshield, or air extractor vents, if you will. And then that big wing on the back. And when you take a look at the Gallardo, the front end, the grill input on that is much more triangular in general. The extractors on the hood are off to the side up by the windshield and smaller, and the rear wing a little bit different, so it's fairly recognizable. Maybe we get a shot here. Here comes the white car coming up of Rattenbury, and you can look at the cars on either side of him and you can see the differences in those cars. And the 2 cars on either side of him right now, that would be Amir Krenzia and Mark Ineken, running for Conrad Motorsport. Conrad Motorsport, new to this series, but this year to the running the European Series this year, but have been around. Franz Conrad and that team of his have been around sports car racing for a very long time. And Ineken in that number 111, who's right behind Rattenbury, running 5th in the Huracán AM class, 2nd in the European Championship this year, had a very, very solid season. And the good news is Conrad Motorsport, who has a lot of history racing in the U.S., but not for a number of years, will be back in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship this coming season, and he will be running one of that team will be running one of these Huracans in the GT Daytona class in GT3 trim. So Conrad returns, and folks, if you're paying attention, you see the lights are out of the pace car. We are going back to green, and race control clarifying that the pits will not open until the last car goes down the front straight and takes the green. So it is not, we're green, the pits open, and then cars that are 8th, 9th, 10th to the queue can duck into the pits. That would be a huge advantage. So they make sure that every car stays on the track, not pit, go by start finish and get the green. Then the pits will be open for the mandatory stop, which now will probably come at about, we're talking right up near the end of this. So, you know, probably with 11 minutes to go. So I would think we're going to see everybody in en masse pretty quick here. And they are telling 163, they are saying maintain this speed when the pace car accelerates away. When they were trying to get him to maintain a pace car speed when the pace car didn't come out on that what they call a short yellow. And when he got word they were going to green, he just kind of took off. So now he's doing a nicer job as the pace car accelerates away. He's just scrubbing those tires back and forth, keep them clean, try and get a little bit of heat in them. And I would think now, even though the track has dried up quite a bit with all this caution running, these guys are not going to have too many issues with these Pirelli P0 reins. And green flag is out, as they now have to make them last for just a bit over 13 minutes plus a pit stop. So down we go into turn one. Cedric Leimer for that X-Bionic entry leads away. Ryan Oakey for Gallardo Motorsports. Second, Jürgen Krebs, the number 113 for Sport Tech. Third, wide overrun into turn one by Amir Krenzia, the number 112 Conrad car, and that has allowed Jake Rattenbury up into third overall. And the number 71 of the Normans, and Jim Norman trying to make some passes here and move up a little bit more before they make their stop. And they have come up now. Jim Norman has, and is dueling with the car that's second in the Gallardo class, 174, Ivan Benvenuti. That's turn 6. And now these guys into the Fangio chicane up at the lead. Leimer again able to open it up a little bit over Oakey. And then there's Jürgen Krebs. And here's, Norman over accelerating. That is into turn 3 on the restart lap. And got into the back, it looked like, of Amir Krenzia. Either that or it was Ineken. And it looks like the number 71 with that contact may have punched a hole in a radiator, and he may be in a bit of trouble here as we're back to the front, as we're just watching what's going to unfold through Bishop Bend, turn number 14. That quick double apex left-hander, normally flat, bit of a lift in these conditions. Here's 15. Now you swing way out, get the car rotated, grab the throttle as early as you can here to get this run down the Ullman Straight, but we are at 11 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in this race, and the pits are open, so I think the entire field is probably going to go into the pits. Watching him now down into 17, and Leimer stays out. So I guess what they're going to do, they've got a lead, they're going to try and build it a little bit. Cedric is just going to fly into the pits, though. Looks like comes Oakey and Krebs. Rattenbury stays out. And there is I'm surprised at the cars that didn't pit, but maybe they've been working an agenda with their crews. But right now, Cedric Leimer apparently feels at this stage that he's got good heat in these tires. Even though they had these cautions, he wants to just hammer some laps around. And that is a good point in terms of a strategy, because when you sit in the pit lane and the tires cool off a little bit, the tire pressures change a little bit, the car might be a little bit less well handling. When you come out, And so he's just running some rocket laps right now, or at least that's his plan. There's Brett David, the American, and the Frenchman, Mathieu Lecoeillier. And Mathieu will be getting on board that Gallardo as Limer just hammers it around. Rattenbury stays out, leading in Gallardo's second overall right now. The two Conrad cars of Amir Krenzia, the 112, and Mark Ineken in the number 111 stayed out. Ooh, well, you can see how hard Limer is pushing. That car just skated on him a little bit over in Cunningham Corner, turn 10. Working through the Collier curves now and up into Tower Turn. Some of these turns here at this track named after legendary landmarks. Other named after legendary figures in American motorsports. Bishop Bend, of course. Mr. Bishop, the creator of the original IMSA, the International Motorsports Association, that was recreated. It is now the sanctioning body. And here comes the queue coming out. There comes Ryan Oakey. There's Krebs. So that position swap staying pretty much the same. And here comes Limer. We are at 8 minutes and 50 seconds remaining as he heads down into 17. What is his play this time? Does he stay out? No, this time he is in. Ooh, absolutely flogging it. And again, when you've got a mandatory stop time and you've got the delta that you have to run for the pit speed limit, that is a set time. So a good in-lap and then a good out-lap can make all the difference in the world as to where you end up. So this is the guy that right now, once all the pit stops cycle, should end up at least back in second spot. And with his win yesterday, that would make him the Huracán Am World Finals champ for the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo Championship. And in the Gallardo category, I think Rattenbury may have pitted that time. Even Benvenuti had pitted previously, and Andres Joseph, and the 18, Lecoeillier, has an opportunity to move up a step, which means what happened to Brandon Godovic is he's now back and slid back, so that really puts Jake Rattenbury in a position to become the Gallardo World Finals champ. As watching Ryan Oakey for O'Gara Motorsport, created by Tom O'Gara, who raced last 2 years for Global Motorsports Group and proved to be a very good driver, but also realized he liked the challenge of team ownership, created O'Gara Motorsport in its first year on the pro level, took Richard Antonucci to the U.S. Championship, and might just be taking a couple of drivers here, or one certainly, to a World Finals title in the Huracán Am category. But Cedric Limer turning now that car over to his fellow Swiss, Laurent Geny, and that Ex-Bionic Racing team has a big lead. And that was exactly what those laps were when those tires were still warm and giving good grip. He just went out and pounded around and did some brilliant, a brilliant additional lap. And then that in lap, you saw how quick he was waiting before he got on the brakes into the pits, and then he exited and got on it and has driven a good out lap. So when the full cycling completes, as we're coming up on 6 minutes to go in the season. Now the complete season, including 12 races for the season and then 2 for World Finals competition. We're coming up on 6 minutes left in what has been an immensely entertaining year for all 3 global championships and this World Finals Championships run. And although this car, if Ryan Oakey stays up in the top 3-4, will get the World Finals title, an absolute exclamation point being put on this last race. Not just by some superb driving, obviously, and Laurent Geny, now obviously hustling this car pretty solidly, but Ex-Bionic Racing, an amazing strategy call that they were able to put together after, frankly, having a bit of a flub with the strategy yesterday in terms of pit procedure, appear to have nailed it today. down this Long Almond Straight as we are coming up on 5 minutes remaining. And now we should see where everybody cycles through. And right now scoring will pick him up as the outright leader. Here is the 24 of Jake Rattenbury, the car that he is chasing right now. He's a Gallardo from the Asian Series, and I think this is just to make sure here. I think that's a car that's probably a lap down yet. Realizes that Jake was coming up and opened the door up. So, Cedric Leimer now goes through. Oh, and it was a pit sequencing thing that we hadn't seen the full rotation because Brandon Godovic now shown as the leader. The number 46 Godovic now, second overall, leader in the Gallardo class. Oh boy, this is taking on some implications because he was second yesterday while Rattenbury was third. If this is correct, I'm going to wait and see where Jake comes through here because I'm not convinced everything is cycled quite correctly, but we'll watch. Here comes Jake. Let's see where he goes. Ryan Oakey now shows as second overall, which would be right, from what I understand. Here comes Jake. Does he go back to the top? Did he have a slower stop? No, he does not. Godovic is shown as the leader. Benvenuti second. Ricardo Vera now in the 134 is third. And Jake Rattenbury is shown back in 7th in class. So this white car we've been following now, according to scoring, and that's what we have to rely on, is no longer near a championship. And it would be the number 46. There he is. Second overall. And he's got even Benvenuti right behind him, that 174, but the car, or did he pass him? I think Benvenuti has gone to the lead, which could completely upset this whole apple cart here. That has happened. So Godovic now has slipped back into second. That would be 2 seconds. Benvenuti, a fourth and a win. I think that might still give it to Godovic with Rattenbury so far back. We are anticipating. It all depends here on where Cedric Leimer is. And you can see the vibration that front straight just puts through these cars. And the 174 of Benvenuti, that car, he may have had a little bit of an off, and you can see that splitter just tweaked a little bit, and it's really creating a bit of a wobble here. So there's Cedric Leimer heading down into turn number 3. So the white flag is out. Timing and scoring, looking at it, noticing the lap times they're running. That white flag is out. 2:17.2 shows the best lap I've seen thus far. And again, if there's a tiebreaker, it's to those best laps. And in the, okay, so this is interesting stuff. But again, Leimer and Laurent-Genie, who's behind the wheel now, even with their win, with the issue they had in that penalty yesterday, it will go to Ryan Oakey with a second and a third. But here is the story. Is Benvenuti, I think he just got passed by the 134. So that would definitely put Godovic, I think, back into position to clinch it. Yep, there's the 134, has gone around. That's Ricardo Vera now has passed Benvenuti for the lead. This is certainly keeping us on our toes, folks, no question about that. They were 7th yesterday, so this win will be nice, but it won't do enough in the combined point scenario for the title of World Finals champion. And of course, this is, big wide run, overshooting that corner. That's a track limits issue. And again, everybody has to go through all of the final machinations and tech and everything. And so this is all speculative on our part, but here we go. Cedric Leimer started this beautiful car. Laurent-Genie for Ex-Bionic onto the front straight. Checkered flag awaits. And had they had their finish on track yesterday, Stan, and not had that pit violation, they may have been World Finals champions. Onto the front straight comes the number 134. This will be an amazing run to second overall in the Gallardo for Andres Josephson and Ricardo Vera. But Ryan Oakey, who came through, will pick up a second and a win. That should be good for the World Finals champion. And watching here, second across the line comes Ivan Benvenuti with a fourth. That would be 20 points. The question now is, does Godovic come through? And again, Brandon yesterday had a second, which would be 12 points, and a third is 10. That would be 22 points. And let's see. And Benvenuti second, that's 12. No, I think this will be Godovic, which will be a wonderful piece of irony, won't it? A driver whose main career for a while has been oval stock car racing, and did a couple of stock car races on a road course, said, I love this, and put together a ride here with Mitchum Motorsports, and may now just have won the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo World Finals title road racing here at the historic Sebring International Raceway. Again, this is speculative until it is all confirmed. We have 2 penalties coming for short pit stops. So it's 271, which was that car that was down a lap. That was the Supachai Racing entry of Supachai Witteborawanpang, who runs in the Asian Series. And the number 158 was the other competitor who had that issue. And they will get penalties. It's a time penalty that they add. That was Christoph Lenz, who was down the order a little bit. So that green car that is in the middle of your frame right now, Ryan Oakey, by my math, is your 2015 Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo World Finals champion in the Huracán AM category, the amateur Huracán class. And in the Gallardo category, again by my math, it will be the number 46 who runs in the US Series, the 46 Mitchum Motorsports Gallardo of Brandon Godovic. And again, that would be, and again, looking just to confirm here, and this is just unofficial as can be, but a second today with 12 points, and a third 10 is 22 points total. And next up, so I'm trying to make sure for Jake Rattenberg, yeah, that Seth, that's not going to do it. And also Josh Hurley, a win and a 10th isn't going to do it. So Brandon Godovic, as I said, had that 22 point total by my reckoning, and Ivan Benvenuti, who would be the next person with a second in class, would get 12 points, and a fourth is 8, that's 20. So again, I believe that Godovic by 2 points will be your Gallardo champion for 2015.
Jordan, this one.
In the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo World Finals. There, the man of the moment, a win in a second, should be your champion. What a year for the Canadians. Ryan and his brother Damon, first and third in the US Championship. And now for Ryan, on top of his US Championship, a World Championship as World Finals Gallardo, or World Finals Huracán AM champ. What a story. Oh, look at this. Up on the shoulders he goes in celebration for the bespectacled warrior. What a race he put on this weekend. And I see Julio Rizzo is down there, going to grab a word with our champion.
Ryan, brilliant job. Well done. You're the world champion.
Wow, feels great.
Something more than great?
Well, the sun is shining, my cars are in one piece, and I'm world champ, so it's awesome.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well, he made a good point there. My car's in one piece. And he did the smart thing. He didn't take the bait, try and go after Cedric Leimer or Laurent Geny. He drove his pace. He drove a pace. He knew what he had to do to win the champion. Getting congratulations from Richard Antonucci, U.S. Pro Champ, right there in the glasses. We'll see Richard up in just a couple of minutes, and the Pro and Pro-Am Huracan drivers and teams go for their World Finals championships. But he ran a smart race, and that's what Ryan has excelled in. As I said, I think Damon is a little bit quicker on a lap, but Ryan has great speed mixed with great racecraft, and that is what wins you championships. And Ryan now has done the double, won his series championship for the North American Championship, and won a world title as well as World Finals champion here for Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo in the Huracan Am class, Huracan Amateur. And that is a nice celebration there. That's O'Gara Motorsport. And boy, have they earned it. Well done, gents. Loving that one there. Fantastic stuff. And Tom, pretty excited. Pretty excited indeed. How special is that to see one of your drivers come through and win that championship? Again, a great drive by Cedric Leimer. His pace throughout that race, and then the lap before he went into the pits when most others did, the lap he threw down, that in-lap, was nothing short of exceptional. And then Laurent Geny, who took over for him, is a very, very quick shoe, and he poured it on coming out of the pits on his outlap and opened up that gap, and it finished at about 6 seconds clear of the field. Then Oki. And then winning the Gallardo class was the number 134 of Andres Josephson, who started, and Ricardo Vera, who brought that car home, started 7th in Gallardo and ended up winning. So what a run. 22nd overall is where they started from, and then came all the way up to the win for that Bonaldi Motorsport duo. But again, they just didn't have the finish yesterday to go with the win, and it wasn't going to be enough. Ivan Benvenuti doing everything he could, started from 6th in class, 18th overall in the Imperiale Racing, number 174, and fought his way up to a 4th overall, 2nd in Gallardo. Tremendous race. However, for Brandon Godovic, who ended up, as I said, with a solid 3rd place finish today, and a 2nd in the race yesterday, that was enough for him to become World Finals champion. Again, all provisional at this stage. It sounded like at least right after the race there were only 2 penalties, didn't affect any of our top players, but there's still tech and other issues. But they need to sort it pretty quickly because there's a banquet and award ceremony coming up early afternoon here at the beautiful Chateau Elan Hotel, right on the property of Sebring International Raceway. So we'll be celebrating our podium coming up, and again, that will be Cedric Leimer and Laurent Geny, your winners in Huracan Am in the race. Ryan Oki for O'Gara Motorsports 2nd. And 3rd, a great run by the number 239 that really drove very smartly in this race and brought that car up to 3rd place in the Huracan Am class. I just want to confirm here where they came up from in the pack, because I believe they started a little bit down the order here. Yeah, they did. 19th overall, 13th in Huracan Am, and Akira Mizutani. And then Hajime Noma took over at the pit stop for Direction Racing and brought it home. And this is the duo that won the Asia Championship, so certainly had the pace, just didn't get the qualifying run they wanted. And they had a 5th place finish yesterday, so a good run yesterday. So they get a 5th and a 3rd, and they'll be up on the podium for the Huracan Am class for the race. But the championship is Ryan Oki's in the Gallardo category. Again, a tremendous run for Andres Josephson and Ricardo Vera, up from 7th in their class, 22nd overall in the grid in their Bonaldi Motorsport Gallardo to the win. Ivan Benvenuti hustling his Imperiale Racing, number 174, up from 6th on the grid to 2nd in his class, 18th overall, but 2nd in class and a 4th overall finish. And 2nd in the World Finals points, if you will. And then 3rd will be Brandon Godovic in the race, and the number 46 for Mitchell Motorsports. But with that 3rd, he should be your World Finals champion. So, wow, pretty spectacular stuff. And dark clouds, but it stayed away, and you can see a dry line pretty much on the racetrack. The issue is, and that's where passing, that's why some of these guys making these passes, it was just spectacular, because to move off of that line to make the pass, you get into the damp parts of the track, and if you're wet weather tires now, and that dry line have been a bit rooted. Then you get off into that wet. You want to do that at times to cool them, but when you're looking for grip to make a pass where you have to go faster than somebody on that dry line, and you step off into the damp parts of the track, it is sketchy. And they made it work, a number of these guys. And you got to give your a tip of the hat to the 71 again of Jim and Josh Norman. Jim Norman doing a great job bringing that car from dead last up through the field, turning it over to his son Josh, who again had a little bit of contact. This time it was nose to tail and punctured a radiator and ended their day, but great pace once again. Fourth in Gallardo, by the way, and it's nice to see the number 18 and a good run there, started by American Brett David, turned over to Frenchman Matt Lecuyer, who was a fighter pilot in the French Air Force before he retired and then decided to go racing in 2007 and has been racing not quite a full season in the U.S. Championship, but a good drive to fourth at Gallardo. At fifth at Gallardo, Brian Hickson, who just accrues points. He does a nice job, and that took him to third in the U.S. Championship. And Brian there. And again, so nice to see, looking back in the Huracán AM class, fourth was the number 113 for Sport Tech, Jürgen Krebs, that green machine that we were watching. And then fifth, the Israeli driver Amir Krenzia, number 112, and his teammate in the 111 finishing right behind him, Mark Inaken. And it's always nice to see the Conrad Motorsport colors. Absolutely fantastic. You see what's queuing up here. That's the pit tower. And on the other side of that row of pit suites is pit lane. But that big queue of Lamborghinis, that are the owners, the Lamborghini owners that have shown up, sort of a car corral, if you will. And they've now been ushered over there. They are going to be released onto the track during the break between our two races. And that will allow them to get a couple laps around this historic raceway in whatever beautiful Lamborghini they had the good sense to get. We had a great picture of them all queued up on the front straight yesterday, and it was a beautiful sight to behold. So while we have a moment, I'd like to officially say a big thanks to Blancpain, this renowned maker of luxury and phenomenal timepieces, hugely involved as a partner in this championship, the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo Championship. So huge thanks to Blancpain, a big thanks to Pirelli, the official tire provider as well as a partner of the series. Their Pirelli P0 slicks are extraordinary. And to Pertamina, that's the largest petroleum company in Asia, which is a very strong supporter of this championship as well. And, of course, I have to say thanks to Sebring. What an opportunity to come and race at this historic venue in the third running of the World Finals as it rotates around each of the three global series, Europe, Asia, and now North America, as host. And to the International Motorsports Association, the sanctioning body that is here conducting all of the racing going on. That's a look at Turn 7 here at Sebring International Raceway. The track used to continue straight on, and you can see, well, we've cut now to a shot. This is the tower turn, but you can see that used to go much farther deep toward the road over there in a much tighter hairpin, but it allowed very little runoff before you got to the barriers because there was a road, a public road on the other side. So they shortened it up and put that little squiggle in it just to give the cars a little bit more runoff because they come at serious pace through Turn 6. And it's a big overtaking area. So, all right, I think we are ready to head down and have Giulio Rizzo, the busiest man here at Sebring this weekend, with our podiums.
Yes, Greg, we are ready. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for the podium ceremony of this race, two of the Huracán and Gallardo cars. We are ready for the podium of the Huracán AM class. So let's start from third place on behalf of Direction Racing, Akira Mitsutani and Hajime Noma. Second place for Ryan Oki, our new world champion of the amateur class. And the winner today for Axe Bionic Racing Team, Cédric Lemaire and Laurent Jenny. Time to hear the Swiss national anthem. Time to hand the trophies. So we call for Mr. Alessandro Farmeschi, Chief Operating Officer for Automobile Lamborghini North America, to hand the trophy to the third place, Mr. Akira Mitsutani and Hajime Noma. Second place today for Ryan Oki, 2015 Huracan Amateur World Champion. And the winner duo for Axe Bionic Racing Team, Cédric Lemaire, Laurent Jenny. Okay, raise your trophies for the group picture. And Mr. Hugo is coming for the gift for the winning team. Cédric Lemaire and Laurent Jenny. Hugo da Silva on behalf of Blancpain, partner of the series. Champagne is on the way.
Per favore ditemi cosa c'è adesso. Gallardo AM. Quanti sono?
Well done, gentlemen. So winners wait for the interviews and everybody wait for the family picture. We are up for the Gallardo AM podium. Let's start as usual from third place, Mitchell Motorsport, Brandon Gdovic. Second place on behalf of Imperiale Racing, Ivan Benvenuti. And the winner from Bonaldi Motorsport Italy, Andres Josephson and Riccardo Vera. Time to hear the Italian national anthem. We call in for Mr. Federico Foschini, Commercial Director for Automobili Lamborghini, which will hand the trophies. The first one is for the third place, Brandon Gdovic, Beecham Motorsport. Runner-up today, it's Mr. Ivan Benvenuti, Imperiale Racing. And the winners, Bonaldi Motorsport duo, Andres Josephson and Riccardo Vera. Champagne is on the way. Congratulations, gentlemen. Well done. As usual, wait here for the family picture at the end of the podium and for the interviews with the winners. We are up for the Gallardo Pro-Am podium. And let's call in Musante Courtney Racing, Josh Harley. Well done, Josh. Second place for the Welsh Jack Rattenbury, Change Racing. And the winner on behalf of Avid Motorsports, Matt LeCoyer and Brett David. Brett cannot be here, but we can still celebrate with Matt LeCoyer. Let's call in for the United States of America National Anthem.
That's perfect, because he's on his own.
Time to call in yet another valuable partner of Automobile Lamborghini, so let's call in for Mr. Redesmond Munier, Vice President Industrial Marketing of Pertamina, which will hand the trophies. Third place goes to Josh Hawley. Well done, Josh. Well done, Jake Rattenbury. Second place for you today. And the winner, Matt LeCoyer, along with Brett David. Well done, Matt. Raise your trophies for the picture. And champagne is on the way. Time to call in all drivers that managed to podium. So everybody on podium for the family pictures, all drivers, all staff to podium. Drivers, everybody to podium. We call in for Mr. Da Silva. Mr. Munier, please come to podium. Mr. Formeschi. Ricardo. Well done, guys. It's back to Greg now with the winners that will carry on interviews here now.
Thank you very much, Giulio. And again, congratulations to all of our podium finishers. It's been a busy 4 days of competition, lots of track time, lots of different conditions. All in all, a pretty good way to wrap up a season of competition and determine World Finals champions as well. Pretty amazing at that. And again, a huge congratulations to the driver of the '89 Ogara Motorsport Huracan, Ryan Oakey, who is this 2015 Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo Gallardo World Finals champion. And again, the number 46 from Mitchell Motorsports, Brandon Godovic, for being the Gallardo World Champion, as Ryan in that Huracan AM class, and Brandon Godovic getting the job done and doing it in some tough conditions today. So well done to all of them. That's going to wrap up our coverage here for a little while on our global webcast of certainly for the Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo Championships in the World Finals for the Huracan Amateur class and the Gallardo categories. We're going to take a bit of a break here. We will be back online on all three of our sites at 11:20 a.m. local time. That's Eastern Time, U.S. And thank you so much for joining us. And with that, we will then be bringing you the last race of this weekend and of the season as we determine our World Finals champions in the Huracan Pro and Huracan Pro-Am categories. You are not going to want to miss that. It should be spectacular. So make sure you come back and join us then. We're going to sign off for now. Again, thanks to Blancpain, thanks to Pirelli, and thanks to Pertamina for their support of this Lamborghini Blancpain Super Trofeo World Finals weekend at Sebring International Raceway.